Let's talk about financial perfection. I feel like you did the first 20 years right. How do you do the first 20 years right and then have it fall apart? Give us a sense of your money story.
Yeah, well, you get the first 20, 25 years right when you just listen to what your dad tells you to do. So my dad was a CFO and an accountant. He's got like 2 degrees in finance. So one in finance, one in economics. And so just growing up in a household, he literally used to sit my four sisters and I down to say, we're talking about money. I can remember having my first job and I'm dating myself, but we used to have the passbooks. They used to like a passport for you millennials. And then you would go to the bank and they would like print on there how much money you had and how much money you were withdrawing. And I would have to sit with him every pay period to show him how much I deposited, how much I took out, what did I use it for. And so I thought this was normal, that everyone kind of went through that, but they didn't. But he was very intentional about teaching us about money and talking to us about the family's finances and showing us how to invest. And it wasn't really until my mid 20s that, that's when you start, as the kids say, feeling yourself. And I thought, I don't need to listen to my dad anymore. Totally, I can do this. I am clearly Warren Buffett in the making. And so I went to a friend of mine, well, air quotes friend, who I thought was wealthy because when you're 25 and someone has like a nice car and a nice apartment, you think that's what money is. And I asked him to teach me how to invest so I can make a ton of money because I really wanted to retire my parents. And he said, sure. And he convinced me that the best way is to use other people's money and to take money off of credit cards. And I never even knew you could do that. I know. I saw that. I
Sorry, I
know.
couldn't help it. I could
No,
not
no,
help
it's okay. Because I created something. I'm like, Tiffany, I want to go back to 25-year-old Tiffany. Be like, don't do it. But nonetheless,
Would
so
we be
I didn't
here
even
talking today if you hadn't made this
know.
mistake?
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm actually grateful for it. So I didn't even I had one credit card that I used to pay off every month because that's what my dad told me to do. And he was like, no, open up a few more and you can literally pull money off. I
Your
was
dad didn't
like, you
tell you to do
can?
that. I'm confident.
No, no. This is I like to call him Jake the liar, right? So Jake the liar was like, no, you could totally open up other credit cards. You've got good credit. You can pull money off. And this is a cash advance, which of course we all know now interest rates on cash advances are like criminal. And so I did this to the tune of, I want to say maybe it was 20 or $25,000.
Oof, go big or go home.
I mean, I was like, if we're gonna invest, let's do it.
Using other people's money. Oh.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
What'd
So
your
it
dad
was
think of this idea when you brought it to him?
I didn't.
Oh,
'Cause I
who would bring that to their dad? Come
I know, because I wanted to surprise him with, look, I made this decision on my own, and I'm making. So the promise from Jake the Liar was we were gonna like purchase goods. He was a French citizen, and he had like all these stores supposedly in France. And we were gonna purchase goods from New York and send them to his stores, and I was gonna make $2,000 a week for 2 years. So now I have these credit cards that I've never had before. I've already pulled out the 20,000. I remember distinctly when I was at the bank to pull out the money that they kept me there for like an hour. They thought I was like a runaway or like, you know what I mean? Or someone had like, because they were really like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah. They're like, is someone doing something to you? I'm like, no. And so
I got this.
Well,
There's no red
kind of.
flags. This is the green light. Go.
Yeah. And so literally they just kept asking. I didn't, and you would think like that was literally like something screaming like Tiffany run, but it didn't click. So gave him the 20,000. We had a contract and everything, but of course, almost as soon as he had it, he was gone. I didn't realize he was gone. So now I had these credit cards and I'd never used them before. And now I have this temptation. And now I know I'm going to be rich soon. So what does a 25 year
You
old
got
do? Who
$2,000 a
knows?
week coming your way in
Yes.
just a matter of
I
months.
mean, it's party time. And so I ran up $15,000 on the credit card, buying like, because I really wanted to be a entrepreneur. So I bought like one of these coaching programs. And that's really what I bought. It wasn't like I spent it on clothes and things like that. The coaching program itself was, I think, $15,000. And I'm sure the person who closed the deal was like, I closed this deal, but like because who typically, I'm sure they weren't getting $15,000 deal closes. But so I bought this coaching program, which was okay, I guess, but certainly not worth 15,000. So now I'm $35,000 in debt. And then I go to collect from Jake the Liar, and he's gone. And it took me 2 years to really accept the fact Jake wasn't coming back.
Because you're waiting for
So
him to
really,
fix this, right?
yes. I was like, who's taking responsibility? It's not my fault. He's a liar. He's the thief. He's going to give me my money back because that's what thieves do. They give you your money back. And
Yes.
so for
That's been my
the one thing
experience.
exactly. So there are a few things I did a lot wrong, but the small things that I did right really saved me. So it's like the little bit of sense that I did had said, huh, you've got these credit cards and your credit score is still pretty decent. You're going to have to eventually pay these off. What if we transfer this money to these balance transfer cards? So 0% interest. So I did that. So it was like, whew. And I had such good credit. It was like almost 2 years, my interest, like where I had 0%. So that helped significantly. And so I started paying back just the minimums. I was working still as a teacher. I was a preschool teacher for 10 years. I was working still as a teacher. And so I was paying just the minimum because I still was trying to convince myself that Jake was going to come back and give me back my money. So after like a couple of years of just paying the minimum and realizing that's not going to happen, I said, Tiffany, you're actually a pretty good saver. Just do it, save your money. I was making maybe at the time $50,000 a year. So not a tremendous amount of money, but I lived pretty simply. I bought my car in cash because my dad told me to. He took me to the lot to get a $5,000 car. And I honestly didn't have any other debt. Well, I had just gotten my master's. So there was that, but student loan debt wasn't crushing. And I paid off my undergrad loan. So I was living in an apartment with my sister. So we were paying fairly low rent. So my life was pretty inexpensive despite not making a ton of money as a teacher. So I said, I'm going to start saving. And that's when the 2008 to 2009 recession hit. So I said, this is the year when I go back to school, I'm going to set aside maybe like I can live off half my income and I'm just going to get aggressive with paying down this debt. And so 3 days before the new school years was supposed to start, they called us and said, yeah, we lost our funding. There's no more, there's no more school. And I'm like, wait, what? And so all of a sudden now, I didn't have any income. So I've got this humongous amount of credit card debt and no income. And that's when the slide just I took the tumble down into the dark hole of just what it felt like financial ruin. Because by then I'd bought a condo, I had the student loan debt, now I have this credit card debt. And it just seemed like I was in this hole. I was in a hole for just about $300,000 between the condo, which was 220,000, the student loan debt, which is 52,000, and the credit card debt, which was 35,000. So yeah, it was like a really hard time because not having any money coming in and just being like, well, what am I going to do now? So I actually asked my parents if I could move back home. I didn't even tell them what happened. I didn't tell my dad till years later what happened because I was really ashamed and embarrassed. So yeah, I moved back home with my parents. I was 29 going on 30 and I stayed with them for a year. Then I moved in with my sister for a year. And I was just trying to figure out what did I want to do? Because I think like so many people, the recession scared me so much that if a teacher, I don't know, there's a job more essential. If a teacher can lose her job, is there any such thing as security? So like my sense of security was shaken to the core. So I did not want to go back to working for anyone because to me, it was like, if they could take my teaching job, they could take any job. I don't want to build up my hopes and my dreams and my talent in a place that can be taken. And it's not my fault because I was a really good teacher. So I decided I wanted to work for myself. I didn't know in what capacity.